With the 2023 season basically over with Georgia not being in the college football playoff, if you're a Georgia fan that doesn't follow recruiting, all eyes are going to be on next season, right? 2024. And I did a little thinking of what that offense could look like next year with so many offensive linemen leaving, Georgia's two leading rushers leading, maybe some wide receivers, and of course, Brock Bowers. And I'm starting to think that Georgia might have a real challenge on their hands offensively next year. Of course, it all comes down to Carson Beck. We think he is coming back for another year. That's what I think. And Georgia really needs him to come back because they're going to miss their center, Cedric Van Pran. I think right tackle Marius Mims might leave for the draft. Obviously, Brock Bowers is going to be gone. He won't be around next year. I would be shocked if Brock Bowers came back next year. Same with Ladd McConkey. I would be surprised if he were on the team next year in 2024. He's another guy that's, a crazy impact guy, one of the best receivers in program history is, at least recently. Kendall Milton, I think, is, gone. I guess he could come back. He's got that extra year, but I think he's gone. I think Dacian Edwards is gone. Xavier Truss, I think, is out of eligibility. I thought he was last year. Tate Ratledge, I think, will be leaving. So there are lots of holes offensively that, guys that they need to replace. Jackson Meeks, of course, entered the transfer portal. He could have maybe have been a guy who steps up and has a bigger role next year, but I think Arian Smith could enter the portal still. Still time to do that. I think Marcus Rosemy-Jackson is out of eligibility. So if Carson Beck does end up saying, you know what, I've made my decision, I want to test the NFL waters and enter the draft, not only are they replacing a right tackle, a center, two running backs, receivers, and arguably the best tight end of all time, now they got to get a quarterback. And that's either going to be Gunnar Stockton or one of the two freshmen that come in, or maybe they hit the portal for one of these guys. So either way, they're going to have a quarterback, but I think it's going to be Carson Beck. That would be the ideal scenario for Mike Bobo, Kirby Smart, and Georgia fans everywhere. A guy who's, would be playing his fifth year in the program. That's not something that people can take lightly. Experience is key. That's why you have so many 22, 23, 24-year-old quarterbacks in college football, is because you want those guys with experience who have a veteran presence and know how to play the game and have won big games before. And obviously Carson Beck has done that, winning several big games this year. But, Georgia, I think, averaged around 38 points a game. I know there's the Mike Bobo haters out there, and with them needing to replace a lot of guys, I'm just not sure this offense is going to be this finely tuned, oiled machine that we saw, definitely last year. And this year, they look great at times too against Ole Miss, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida. The offense did look great at times, and then other times it didn't. But I'm not sure the offense next year is going to be better than what we saw this past year. But if it is, it's because Carson Beck did come back. But I think, whatever it takes to keep him around, I think the Georgia staff has to do that, whether it's through NIL or just talking into him, and saying, hey, you could be one of the best first guys to come out in the draft in 2025 if you stay one more year and continue to work and develop and progress under Mike Bobo. And if you look at that schedule they've got for next year that was leaked, I don't think it's officially official yet, but, going on the road in Tuscaloosa, they're going to have to score points in that game. They're on the road at Texas, probably going to need to score a lot of points in that game. On the road at Ole Miss and Oxford, if Jackson Dart, I think, is coming back for like an 8th season, it feels like. That offense could be really good next year. Georgia might be in some shootouts. Going to Kentucky with Brock Vandagriff, maybe they can get it together, score some points. Georgia's going to have to outscore, several teams. Tennessee, with that backup quarterback they got, Nico. I'm not even going to pronounce his last name, but the former 5-star that they love, they are raving about at Tennessee. They might be in a position where they score a good amount of points. Of course, they did last year. Josh Heupel knows what he's doing. But I think next year, Georgia's going to be in some shootouts, and they're going to need to play very well offensively. And it's going to be tough when you're replacing at least 3-4 starters on the offensive line. Again, your two best running backs. I think they're going to need to hit the portal. Trevor Etienne, former Florida running back, is a guy that we've been talking on Dawg Post about for a while, at least a week ago before he even entered the portal. I told everyone on Dawg Post, hey, he's a guy to keep an eye on. I know he went to Florida, but if this guy enters the portal, I like Georgia's chances from what I'm hearing. And that came from Florida's side too. So that said a lot. But Listen, we're going to be talking about this all offseason. We want to see you over on Dawg Post. You can sign up to our free newsletter. That link is down below, and you can read free stories. Not a lot is free in life, but it is free to sign up to a newsletter and read a free story on Dawg Post. Not every story is free, but a lot of them are. You could be reading Dawg Post for free. Just sign up to that newsletter, and you get an email every day with all of our stories. And again, a lot of them are free. If you've been enjoying these videos on YouTube, we want to see you over on the website because there's a lot more info, a lot more insider scoop, right, over on the website. But yeah, I think next year could look a lot different offensively. Now, there's some young guys, eager, hungry guys that are ready to step in. Oscar Delp is going to be playing a major role at tight end, so will Lawson Lucky. They need a right tackle to emerge. Maybe that's Monroe Freeling, who played a little bit as a true freshman this year. Is it Jared Wilson at center? And then Micah Morris, Dylan Fairchild as your guards. You still have your left tackle, Ernest Green, there. But Dominic Lovett's another guy. Ra Thomas. Those two receivers could leave if they wanted to. So, I mean, they might have to replace a lot of receivers. Still some in the portal. They can go out and get a couple. Obviously, Thomas and Lovett were transfers coming in last year. So wide receiver is kind of an open door in and out type. Whereas the offensive line, it's tough to go get a quality offensive lineman and plug him in his first year in this program. You know, they want guys to have a lot of cohesiveness along that offensive line, guys who play well together and learn together. That running back, you can kind of plug and play a guy. Branson Robinson ideally would be healthy for next year. Andrew Paul will be back. So you've got some guys there. But at the end of the day, it's going to start with quarterback. Carson Beck coming back would be the best thing for this offense. And again, I think so. I didn't think Brock Vandagriff was going to leave if he thought that Carson Beck was leaving, right? I think he entered the portal and went to Kentucky because part of him, maybe a lot of him, knew or he thought, strongly that Carson was coming back. So would kind of be a big-time error on Brock's part if Carson Beck decides tomorrow that he's leaving for the draft and he just left Georgia for Kentucky. They'd probably have to go get a guy in the portal. But Gunnar Stockton is really good. We've seen him a lot. I think he is a very qualified backup. He'll be in year 3. So if anything happens, if Gunnar Stockton is the guy, I think he could be a really, really good quarterback, step right in and be the guy that we thought he could be 3 years removed from high school, where he was very good and broke a lot of records, can run, can throw. But replacing a center is never easy. Replacing 2 experienced tackles and Ratledge and Truss, it's not easy. Replacing a tackle, guards and tackles really all over the place it might hurt a little bit. And, we've seen Georgia have one of the better offensive lines in college football year after year. I still think they have the potential to do that, but it's going to be a little more difficult next year. Ernest Green has the potential to be a top left tackle in college football next year. Dylan Fairchild's very good. Micah Morris is very good. I think both those guys entering their 4th seasons next year have a chance to, be solid, but you're still replacing guys all over the field, and you can't replace Brock Bowers. Yeah, you cannot replace Brock Bowers. He was that good. But those targets have to go elsewhere, and it might go to some of these younger receivers. It could be a transfer receiver. Maybe they go and get a tight end from the portal. Not sure they will because they have 2 signed in this 2024 class that'll be freshmen next year. You have Pierce Spurlin there too. But overall, if you really dig into it, they're replacing a lot of guys, and the schedule sets up for them to be in a position where they need to score points. So having an experienced quarterback like Carson Beck back will do wonders for this team. But I do think they need to add a running back in the portal, probably need to get a receiver or 2 from the portal, and make this offense, keep some of the explosiveness. They were an explosive team this year, maybe not 50-plus yards, but 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards. There were a lot of plays like that. They just didn't come in the biggest stage, in the biggest game against Alabama. But next year, they're going to have to find, more speed and explosiveness, not only at wide receiver and tight end, but at running back too, because I think that Carson Beck could be the guy to lead them all the way. He's going to need some more weapons, though, I think, especially if Dom Lovett does not come back and Ladd McConkey does not come back and Ra Thomas and Jack Sain. I mean, anyone really can name off guys who could leave if they wanted to, either through the portal, which seems unlikely for those impact guys, but enter the draft as well. So, what are you thinking? Could Georgia's offense be better next year than this year, or will they take a small step back, a significant step back due to all the losses? And again, we don't know who they're going to add from the portal, but Kirby knows where the weaknesses are. Right now, he knows this team inside and out. So does Mike Bobo offensively. They will go out and get the guys they need, but right now, I'm not sure they will be as good as they were this year, last year, 2 years ago, as they will be next year. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section. We love hearing from y'all. Sign up to that free newsletter. Again, that link is down below. You'll read free stories on Dawg Post. Really appreciate y'all watching this video, and I hope to see you over on the website.